Kuchera, Dolazal, Janecki, to name 3 class act international stars, some NHL players.
Leading goal scorers for the Czech Republic. Dolazal comes into this game with 3 goals and 1 assist, giving him 4 points. Baranek has 2+2. Tupal has 1 goal and 3 assists. These 3 guys, not really the big names. They're guys that just work very hard. You would expect the goals to come from Kastak, Hostak, and Russell. That's been the strongest line offensively. But on the scoring charts, it's the other 3 guys, as I mentioned, who have done it all.
Peter Russell, who plays his hockey in Europe, has been a big disappointment when it's come down to finding the net. The guy's had 2 or 3 breakaways, but unable to put the puck in the net.
Having said that, he is on that line with Kastak and Hostak that just never stops working. They are the offensive strength of the team. They just can't buy a goal. They haven't had the best of luck, but the team is winning because the rest of the guys are very talented and they are coming through.
The Italians will go with Delfino, and up front, I'm afraid, 1 or 2 of them have been around just a bit too long.
Well, they're very experienced, that's for sure, to be polite. Bill Stewart on the defense has been around for a long time. He's 36 years old, Canadian-born farmer, I guess he is, from reports from all of his friends that we've spoken to. Zerillo is getting up there in age. Gates Orlando, an outstanding player, born in Montreal, is 31 years old and has had a great career in Italy. John Vecchiarelli, that name has been around for quite a while. They have experience. A few guys that have got youth. We'll see what happens.
It certainly is going to be an interesting confrontation. The search coming from the bully on the Swedish referee as the captains get together and exchange pleasantries before this one gets underway. I'm looking forward to a fast-moving, hard-hitting game, and I have a feeling that we're going to see that. We weren't disappointed today as the Canadians went up against the Finns. The Canadians go into the next round defeating the Finns, and they will play the Russians. The Swedes are waiting in the wings, waiting to see who's going to win this game between the Czech Republic and the Italians.
Delfino, starting in the goal for Italy, has 1 shutout to his credit. The game against the Swiss being a 1-0 victory for Italy. He's faced 142 shots, has allowed 12 goals, has a goals against average of 2.85 coming into this game. Pетr Břiza, star goalie for the Czechs, is one of the top goalies in the tournament and in the world. 96 shots on goal. Břiza's only allowed 4 goals. He has a 95.8% saves record, .80 goals against, and 2 shutouts. The shutouts being a 5-0 win over the Germans and a 2-0 victory over the Norwegians.
Well, the fun is coming to an end here with the bully climbing up on the plexi. Face-off at center ice with the Swedish referee, Sven-Erik-Sold. The Czechs will be playing from right to left. And that comes all the way down with the Italians going out first now to work out of their own end. Circelli up on the wing. The pass too far for anyone. Bounces in, and Holland shoots it right back in. I really do feel deep down inside that the Czechs are much too strong for this team as Janecki goes after the puck, and the Italians are going to work for everything they get out there.
The Italians will have to stay out of the penalty box, and they'll also have to pace themselves so that they can go 60 minutes with this Czech team. The Czechs play good positional hockey. They spread out very well, and they have good puck movement. They know what they're doing.
Brian Lefley, the coach of the Italian squad. Ivan Linka behind the bench for the Czechs as that comes all the way back to number 8, Milos Horova. Horova scoops it over. Long pass up the middle. And the Czechs will go back with Kastak going deep. Kastak starts it out for the Czechs. This guy can motor. He's got a good shot as that goes into the corner. Takes a weird bounce along the boards. Russell sets it up out in front. And that's stolen by Paviu. Vecchiarelli goes after his man, comes all the way back onto the D, thrown to the far side by Harba, and back comes Russell. Russell Drops it back neatly over the line. Horriba. Into the corner is Russell. Russell on the backhand side, wrapping it right around. They score! Kastak got set up by Russell.
That certainly didn't take long. The Italian defense, knowing they were going to be up against it, not playing good positional hockey. Russell on the move behind the goal. One Czech in front, two Italians. They look like they're not in any kind of trouble, but Kastak comes from behind everybody and puts it into the net after Delfino makes the original save.
Robert Oberau looking the other way. Everyone chasing the puck, looking at the puck out there. And no one watching the trailer come in. Stabiana shoots it up. Herbeck goes for a little skate. 1:27 gone in the period. The Czechs leading this 1-0. The tip goes wide of the cage and back come the Italians. Giovio breaks in. Long shot coming from Vanni is wide of the target. The Italians roughing it in the corner. Giovio came in hard, picked up now by Serban on the far side. Serban, a rink-wide pass going for number 21, Horak. Horak trying to dispossess his man. Ciccaroni unable to get a stick on it. Breaking forward is Herbeck. There's going to be a penalty on the plate. Not exactly what the Italians need. Down one goal already. The Czechs, much like the Russians, not going with a set power play. Whoever happens to be the freshest and ready to go, they'll always have a couple of experienced defensemen on the ice with them. But up front, they'll go with anybody and everybody. Vanni in the penalty box for Italy. That's a luxury most coaches don't have. Usually when you have a power play situation, you have 4 or 5 guys that you can throw out there, or that you do throw out there. When you come to teams like the Russians, the Czechs, the Swedes, well, they go with who's ever out on the ice. Tapatig into the circle. Gentle tap through the neutral zone, and the Czechs go back on the D. The shadow coming from Orlando. All the way back, and here come the Czechs again. Working right up through the middle. Good chance for number 4 there, Milas Holland. He shoots it in behind the goal. Tupau back to Holland. Holland back to Tupau. Tupau throws it in behind the goal, gets the return pass. Not a lot of movement from the Czechs. They're setting it up now. Kapusta going back, has Baranek out front. That shot took a deflection, and Baranek moves to the far side. Kapusta got it back. Tupal now throws it in behind the red line. Baranek moves right in front. The pass didn't come his way from close in. Kapusta looking for that rebound as the shot was taken from about 35 feet out. Delfino pounces on it.
Zanata up front for Italy, doing a good job of getting his stick in the way, moving back and forth, sweeping it on the ice, not allowing the Czechs to have an easy go with the passes. Poland takes the windup. That's off Zanata's stick, an easy save, as Delfino just has to pounce on it.
From the face-off all the way back to the blue, Holland tips it over, looking for the return pass. The shadow coming from Chitteroni. Again, the Czechs take a lot of time to build this one up. Holland, who's got the good shot, decides to throw it in close. Janecki slows it down on the hash marks, pumps it over. Tupau got it back. A big shot coming in. That took a deflection, and boy, that hurt. Mansi got in front of that shot. Old-time hockey. Sometimes old-time hockey isn't the wisest thing to do. Still a power play situation for the Czechs. They haven't had that many quality shots on goal. Janecki feeds it along the blue line. Holland goes up. Kadlec takes the shot. Oh, yes.
Delfino looking around for the puck. It is behind him in the net. Goal number 2 for the Czech Republic. Kadlec, a defenseman that we've liked and mentioned on more than one opportunity, has a lot of time. The box is broken down for the Italians as the puck came from the far side. Kadlec drills this one home. The Czech Republic up quickly by 2 goals.
Zweites Tor für die Tschechische Republik. Torschütze war der Spieler mit der Nummer 5, Draumir Kadlec. Auf Zuspieler Nummer 4, Milos Holland. Und mit der Nummer 20, Ottokar.
Well, perhaps we were thinking that the Italians were better prepared for this game than they really were. We're coming up to the 4-minute mark now, and the Italians are trailing by 2. The Czechs looking totally in control, and this is one team that we've talked about. The Czechs I'm talking about, that is, and we've said that a lot of people are not looking at them in the true light that they really are. Russell brings it through, and Russell setting up his line mat out there. That was Gudas. Russell in the corner. I'll come back to that story in a moment. Russell trying to set things up in the Italian zone as he brings his man off the play. There's a whistle. And a lot of media and hockey supporters out there haven't looked closely enough at this team. The Czechs certainly are a contender.
You can't call them underdogs to anybody. They are sort of a sleeper, though. They don't get the mention or the attention that the Canadians get. They don't have the glorious history that the Russians have, and the success in the past few years of the Swedes has given them a lot of the action as far as the journalists go. The Czechs, right in every game they play, they've got some of the best goal scorers, and they're the most solid team. Russell in the penalty box for hooking. Now the Italians can try and get something going with a man advantage.
Perhaps the Czechs like it that way. They don't get the pressure from the media. No one is expecting anything of them. Paviu drops it back to Tapatig. Tapatig throws it up to number 17, Orlando. Orlando will try that again.
The Czechs, breakaway experts, while they're killing penalties. We've seen them have quite a few golden opportunities while they're down a man. They've scored one shorthanded goal, and they've come very close on numerous times. They're rated number 2 on the penalty kill percentages.
Orlando dropped it back. That's eventually fed back to the hash marks. Tapatig is there. Tapatig calling for it. He gets it. This guy can score goals. Big shot from way out. Briza makes his first save of the game. Into the corner now. And the Italians starting to apply a little pressure. Back to the blue. Paviu feeds it over to the far side. And still the Italians with the power play for at least 45 seconds. DeAngelis over the red, hits the blue, a lot of room out there, big shot. Briza gets a swipe at it and clears it out as far as the top of the circle. The Italians looking more professional, more in control.
It's by far their best shift of the game. They have the man advantage for another 22 seconds.
18 seconds now on the power play for the Italians. They bring it out, hit the blue. Vecchiarelli, long shot, high, that goes upstairs.
The Italians aren't going to be able to cruise at all. They're going to have to skate and skate very hard to make anything happen. The Czechs are quick. The Italians aren't nearly as quick of a team as the Russians as far as forwards go. Everybody's watching the Russians and the Canadians up front, seeing how fast they are. The Czechs are smooth and play great position hockey. The Italians, one of the slower teams, are really going to have to hustle.
Stewart shoots that in as it goes to the far side. A long pass as Russell jumps up the ice. Russell on the left wing, the right-hand shot. Russell drops it back. Kuchera, the backhander. Delfino makes the save. And the Italians are back on the attack. A 2-on-2 situation. The Italians coming up in numbers. Number 24, Chitteroni, spins around, throws it in to Stewart. Stewart goes off the side of the net. A big push in there from Chitteroni. He seems to be skating hard in his first period, and the Czechs come back hard. Dolezal over to the far side. A rink-wide pass labeled for Kuchera. Di Fiore took it out of the play. Chitteroni tapped it up onto the red line. And here comes Vanni. Vanni banged against the boards, but not before he leaves it. Going to be a penalty on the play going against the Italians. Touched by Paviu, and there's the indication for roughing from the Swedish referee.
Discipline and composure. It's going to cost the Italians dearly. They're already trailing by a pair of goals. Another penalty for them. The Czechs back to the man advantage. 22. Carmine Vanni making his way to the box for roughing.
2-2
the score. The Czechs leading the Italians. Vanni being hooked on the play. Let's see how he responds to that. Well, the slow motion replay didn't go far enough to show the penalty. The Czechs with a power play. Just what the Italians needed out there. Kostak. Rosso breaks across the blue line. That's dropped back to Stabiana. Stabiana feeds it over to the far side. Everyone takes up their position. Coming into Rosso. Rosso right in front. The loose puck is there. Kostak almost got a piece of it as that nestled right in front of Delfino, all the way back to Stabiana. Stabiana put it into Rosso, back to Stabiana. The shot. Kostak on the far corner just couldn't connect. Rosso back to the blue. Big shot there from Serban. And the Czechs certainly have the muscle back of the blue line. They got the firepower. They're not hitting the net. Iovio giving Serban a hard time. Stabiana comes back to help out. And now the Czechs sort themselves out in their own zone, and they throw it up to Rosso. Rosso is looking for Kostak, decides to go to Stabiana. Stabiana's back pass was too far for anyone, and they'll do it again with 50 seconds on the power play.
The Czechs with a very slow and deliberate build-up, not really pressuring the Italians at all, allowing them to kill this penalty off.
Stabiana starts it up on the right side. Both teams have made a change out there. And the Italians will jump all over that one and shoot it down the ice. Horak circled back, but the pass didn't come his way. Three Czechs hitting the line with Herbeck carrying the puck. Shot into the near corner. Kaloun was taken off the play, and a long shot out by Cercelli. Up now to Horak. Horak delivers that onto the left wing. Herbeck back to Horak, back to Herbeck. The Italians back at full strength. Herbeck, a rough ride there from Cercelli. Herbeck waiting for that to come to him rather than going after the puck, and that comes out to the blue line. Holland shot it in the circle. Herbeck took a swipe at it. And this really is close checking stuff. Herbeck couldn't get the shot away, and the Italians dump it down the ice.
The play is slowed right up with the Czechs still 2 goals out in front of the Italians.
.9:48 gone in the first period. And the Czechs looking comfortable.
Very comfortable.
The Italians need a goal right now because I fear if the Czechs pop another one, then this one's going to be over before it's begun. You really can't allow the Czechs to get a 3-goal lead. Paviu puts that off the boards. It goes out over the red line. The race is on now. And Iovio doing some good skating against Horova. Horova was caught a little short there. Gudas camps out in front. Getting back is Kapusta on top of Teague. Going along the boards, the Italians not going anywhere, but keeping it in the zone. Play slowing down in the Czech zone, and out they come over the line. Kapusta breaks. Beranek comes in front, decides to go back to the top of the circle, and that's fed out nicely to Stewart. Teague lets that one run. Iovio takes a long shot on Briza, and Briza puts it out. thrown up nicely to Baranek. Baranek for the Czechs hits his own blue right through center. A long pass up on the left wing. Dolezal to the far side. Going after it is Oberau. Dolezal back behind the net, getting a rough ride from Di Fiore. And that's shot all the way down the ice.
Both teams struggling to put the passes together. When the Czechs do come out of their own zone, they are in control. Stopping, cutting, guys going behind the puck, crisscrossing nicely. When the Italians attack, it's one or two guys. They really aren't getting any kind of offense going toward Briza. Briza's half dozing off in his net.
Di Fiore took Kuchera heavily into the boards. And the Czechs again throwing the puck around as if it's a practice. Boy, do they do this nicely. Staviana to the far side, 11:37 gone in the period. Janecki is poke checked right on the blue line. Delayed offside in effect. Kuchera goes after his man. They've all cleared the zone. And on that occasion, the whistle blew offside. Coach Brian Leffley certainly has his work cut out for him. He's got a lot of experience, having played 228 games in the National Hockey League. Whether that's going to help him now, I don't know. Kadlec, who picked up the second goal on the power play, brings it over the line, and this game really has slowed down to a snail's pace. Holland. Kadlec back to Holland. Holland feeds it up through center. That was nice. The Czechs now starting to come forward. The Italians stacking that blue line. Now the Italians get it out over their own zone. Coming back on the fly, overskating the puck was Orlando. And the long pass up to Holland, the big defenseman. He has Russell taking his place back at the blue. That's fed right through, deflected away. Kostek was the intended receiver, and Zanata is there to pick it up for the Italians. Long pass, you could see that coming a mile away. Holland takes a shot that deflects in front, and Turcelli gets it, feeds it out. And the Italians breaking now. That was close to an offside call, and eventually the whistle goes. Topatig and Holland have a go at each other.
An innocent play with Holland and Topatig getting involved with each other after the whistle. Topatig is the leading goal scorer for the Italians coming into tonight's game. 3 goals, no assists for 3 points. It says a lot about the Italian offensive attack. They've only had 8 goals in this whole tournament so far, giving up 20. They're minus 12.
And yet they're here in the semifinals, or the quarterfinals rather. They're hoping to go to the semifinals. A chance there for 21, Roman Horak. Herbeck shot it all the way around. Out front is Calhoun. He took a heavy chop from behind. Becchiarelli put it up on the wing. And here come the Italians. Going in, number 24, Chitteroni from the side of the net. That bounces out front. The Italians still trying to set something up in the Czech zone. It doesn't last long in there as the Czechs have to go deep. The Italians come out to clear the zone. Horva out over the blue, over the red. Horva taps it in to Herbeck. Herbeck couldn't hang on to that. Di Fiore up around, and the Czechs get it again. The Italian passing leads a lot to be desired. Gudas gets it on the near side. A rink-wide pass, not a great pass from him. That goes all the way down the ice as the Italians and the Czechs complete their changes.
Leo Gudas out on the ice for the Czechs. Hasn't had much action in this game. Normally very involved right from the start. The guy who likes to hit, getting his first touch of the puck in this last shift on the ice.
Earlier on today, we saw the Canadians up against the Finns, and the Canadians walked away with that one. So we now know that the Canadians and the Russians will do battle in the semifinal. Long shot from way back at the blue. Another one comes in. That took a deflection. Chibian got a piece of it. And the Italians now putting a little pressure on the Czech goal. The winner of this game will play the Swedes. And I really feel that the Czechs will be the only ones who can compete with the Swedes. The Italians, I feel, wouldn't stand a chance. Topatig overskated that. Baranek goes over to the corner. Baranek has so many options, decides to put it in front of the net. That wasn't one of the best options. Going back for it is Serban. Serban, a giveaway there, going in. Topatig, or Orlando rather. Orlando took a shot. Topatig now picks it up for the Italians. Topatig poke checked. And that's what happens when the last man out tries to go through the first player coming in.
Good opportunity for Gates Orlando. His shot going wide. I don't think he realized he had a stride ahead of the defense.
Baranek now brings it up for the Czechs. Baranek hits the blue over the red. Gets that away from Zanata and pumps it in the zone. Delfino comes out to touch it. And the Italians may become a little more confident after that play by Orlando, even though it wasn't successful. Iovio tried to bring it in. That's fed over into the circle. Iovio's calling for it. Iovio now picks it up, tries to bring it out front. He's taken off the play, and the Czechs come back in numbers. Kadlec, long pass, right on the money to the far side. The return pass for Dolezal just wasn't that good. That took a deflection. And Delfino with Kuchera right on his doorstep hangs onto it.
The pass going through for Dolezal along the boards. Had that gone into the middle, Kuchera was gone. He was calling for the puck. He was wide open. He was the third man coming in. The trailer, the Italians guilty of 3 men going over to the boards. They're all chasing the guy with the puck. Yanechki. Pass was ahead for Dolezal. Meanwhile, Kuchera was wide open. Shot coming from Kadlec. Face off to the left of Delfino.
The officials now happy with the way they're lining up. Coming in is Horva. Horva misses the net. Di Fiore spun around. Oberau goes in to provide a little interference on Hostak. Hostak taken out of the play as that goes all the way down the ice. Cleared onto the near side. The Czechs getting back in numbers with Kostak in there to help out. Kostak skated out of the plate, and Kostak now gets the puck. Hostak is on the wing. Russell has to double back for Czech. Taken off the play by 24, Chitteroni. And every once in a while you see a really nice defensive move come from the Italian six.
The defensemen are very experienced for Italy. That will always be offsides. A player backing over the blue line and pulling the puck in.
The rule for the offside, in case you haven't watched this game before, is that the puck must be the first thing to go over the blue line. The puck goes first and the players follow. Well, the Italians look pretty relaxed on their bench. They have a lot of support here in this Olympic Hall in Munich. All the way back to Briza. Briza comes out of his net. Paviu in there to shadow for the Italians. Dumped in again, and Chitteroni, who's really having a good match out there, got that back. Wasn't held at the blue line, and the Czechs putting a lot of pressure on the Italians. This time, Briza comes up with a big save. Orlando actually hit the net. A second opportunity for Gates Orlando. Thrown over now to Cricelli. Dumped all the way down the ice, but every once in a while, Orlando finds himself getting free. Topatig taken in heavily on the boards. And a few momentary lapses from the Czechs out there. A long pass does not come up to 21. Horak intercepted by Orlando, who got back nicely. Orlando drops it through the circle. The shadow comes from Kowloon.
Gates Orlando, a very solid player for Italy, had an excellent career at Providence College and then saw 103 games in the NHL with the Buffalo Sabres. He's been around for a while.
Drop pass, and the Italians find their way out of their own zone. Zanata lets it go down. Poland tips it into the corner, and the Czechs try to bring it out along the boards. Iovio checking for the Italians. Less than 2 minutes on the clock as Kadlec brings it out now Kadlec to Holland. Holland taps it forward. A move now by Baranek. Baranek has a lot of steam. He's brought down. There's going to be a penalty. Marchetti got the stick under.
The Italians will go to the penalty box. Good individual effort from Baranek, taking him on, creating the penalty. Marchetti and Mansi both trying to tie Baranek up. The stick from Mansi following Baranek as he's dumped. Mansi going to the penalty box. Hooking the call.
Baranek in the face-off circle against Zanata. 2-0 the score. The Czechs leading this one in the first period. Baranek wins the draw, gets it back. Holland calling for it on this side as Kadlec sets himself up on the blue line, starts to walk across. Kadlec into the hash marks. Holland. A deliberate, slow build-up. Kapusta. Holland. Back to Kapusta. Still with Kapusta. Tries to draw the forward out. The shot from Holland. Ricochets into the corner. Baranek back to Kadlec. Kadlec can't handle that. And Baranek will go in and pick it up behind the net. Baranek feeds it into the near corner. Holland is calling for it. Kapusta hangs onto it and then gives it to Baranek. Last minute of the period. Holland. Kapusta. A lot of opportunities out there, but the Italians smothering most of them by getting in front of the shots or the potential shots.
Delfino happy to hold on to the puck. The Italians setting it up nicely in the shorthanded situation. They're rated 6th with the penalty kill. They play an aggressive game and quite often find themselves shorthanded.
Still a power play situation as Orlando gets in to take the face-off against Kuchera. That comes all the way back over the blue line, and the Czechs will have to chase. Less than a minute on the clock as Gudas throws it up on the left wing. Gudas traps that against the boards, keeps it in nicely. And number 24, Mario Chitteroni, gets it to the far side. Good clearance. And the Italians continue to do a good job killing off this penalty. Gudas. Long pass up to Janecki. Janecki up on the left wing. 10 seconds now on the period. Dolazal goes after his man. Janecki calls for it. Picks it up on the hash marks. Just 5 seconds now. Janecki thinking about working it in front. He wastes too much time. The shot comes well after the whistle. And they'll have a power play when they start the second period. The Italians did not like that shot that came after the whistle.
Gudas and Overell having it go. Overell's the captain of the Italian team, taking very serious offense to the fact that Gudas shot the puck after the whistle. Gudas had actually taken most of the steam off the shot. He was just simply following through. The puck really didn't make it to Delfino with a lot of weight behind it, but the Italians trying to get something going for themselves possibly are going to rough it up with the Czechs to let them know that they're still there.
It is a dangerous thing to do, shoot after the whistle, because everyone's relaxed. No one's, once you hear the whistle, everybody just kind of drops what they're doing. And no one's set for a shot coming their way. Confirmation of the score after 20 minutes of play. We've got 2 periods to go. I really do hope the Italians bring themselves back into this game, because right now they're not playing good hockey. Every once in a while we see Gates Orlando get himself free, but he's not the only one on the team. Vecchiarelli has got to do something out there. Mansi, Iovio, these guys can score goals. They got to start playing hockey.
Orlando and Iovio were skating quite well for the Italian team, but they're about the only 2 positive points. Defensively, they've just tried to hang on. They're desperate to clear the puck. They've had 3 penalties called against them in the first period. The Czechs have only gone to the box once. The Czechs have been allowed to control the play, and if that continues, it'll end up being a whitewash. The Czechs only managing 2 goals in the period, but out shooting the Italians 10-4.
Kastak and Kadlec are the goal scorers. Kadlec's goal coming on the power play.
A nice power play goal for Kadlec. Big shot from the blue line.
Well, the team's now taking a well-deserved break. We must remind everybody, as you can see from the official, it's really hot here, isn't it?
Certainly is. You can tell by the way the puck is bouncing. It's been going on throughout the tournament. It gets warm. The players are hooking and holding and getting more and more tired as the game goes on. They're changing quite fast, and the puck is bouncing all over.
Short break coming up. Second period coming up. Stay with us. Side, the Czechs leading the Italians 2-0. Mansi getting set to come out of the box for the Italians. Still a power play situation for the Czechs. Now he's back out, and the Italians can put their game together. They struggled in the first period, had 1 or 2 opportunities, didn't take them well enough, but they certainly do look like they're going to be outplayed, out-hustled, outscored by the Czechs. Janecki right in front. Dolezal was cruising along with Kuchera. Janecki, the 32-year-old Czech who plays for Jokerit in Helsinki, got the pass out on the near side. Delfino pounced on it.
The Italians certainly sticking up for their teammates. The goalie getting the touch. As soon as he has that touch, Delfino, watch him come and take the Czechs away from the front of the goal. Cercelli coming in very quickly, putting the grab on Dolezal, letting him know he isn't going to have anything to do with being in the crease area.
8 Canadian-born Italians on the team. And when you listen to the Italian bench, there aren't too many Italian words spoken out there. Zanata took his man out. Marchetti on the far side. That's rattled off the boards, but only as far as the blue line. Now it comes out. Long pass up to the red line, and Russell eventually gathers it, brings it up over the Italian blue line. Nice little pass back, and the Czechs very good at passing it close quarters. Thrown in and eventually bounced out. Gudas will get there first. Steers it away from Kupala. Horva back behind the goal. Marchetti calling for it. And the Italians bring it out of the zone. Long shot. BRŽIZA steered that away as Mansi got a piece of it. A change for both teams out there. Mansi takes a breather along with Zanata. And the Czechs come back on the attack with Kalun. Kalun almost got away with that one. Left the puck along the boards. Broken up by Herbeck. Herbeck now traded that one off to the left side. The shot comes in. Delfino comes out. And Delfino is going to see more than his fair share of rubber during the next 40 minutes. 2-0 the score. Kastak, Kadlec for the Czechs, and that's the way it stands.
In 5 games played, Italian goaltenders have seen 185 shots, and the Czech goaltending with BRŽIZA in 5 games has only seen 96 shots. Quite a difference.
From the side of the net now, the Italians going back with Vanni. Vanni breaks into the middle as that comes down on the left side. Chitteroni gets it right to the side of the cage, and BRŽIZA has no problem with that. A big smile on my co-commentator's face when he looks and sees who's involved in the confrontation out there. It's always got to be this man, John Vecchiarelli. He really has a lot to say and do out there. I kind of like him, though. He's a colorful player, and he's got a mustache almost as big as yours.
It's all right. Vecchiarelli works hard. He gets stuck in. He is a bit of a character. He can come out of most situations with a smile on his face. That's what probably makes him most likable.
Orlando got the draw, but the Czechs come up with it. Kadlec bangs that behind the boards. Sent up to Tupal. Tupal just taps it into Italian territory. That comes out through the circle. Bounce off the board on the far side. Gates Orlando left that. Topatig looking to try to get it up to Pavlu. And that eludes everyone out there in a white and blue jersey. The Czechs come back with a good pass. Tupal tips over the far side. Baranek took the shot, and Tupal was skating in as the rebound came over on the near side. Gates Orlando comes up. Orlando being shadowed by Baranek. Pavlu skates right in front of the net. Tapatig took the shot. There were a couple of options there for the Italians, and the Italians starting to throw one or two things together.
Tapatig, the top scorer for Italy, knows he's got to hit the net. That was a good opportunity. Not very often have the Italians found themselves open in the slot area in front of Briza. Blasted that one up off the plexi, though, not making much of it.
Got to keep those shots down. Delfino smothers that for a face-off. Another good crowd here in Munich. And this competition has been well attended right from the opening face-off. When the Germans were playing, of course, we had capacity crowds. Kapusta coming out short on that one.
If you're trying to cue me on attendances, Paul, you've done the job. 172,679 people have attended prior to today's game.
I'm impressed. The Italians, Iovio on the right side, skated out of the picture. Mansi was there, couldn't pick up the puck. Gudas with the long pass up the middle. Boy, the Czechs do that really well. Dolazal, another long pass, and the Czechs with Kuchera, Dolazal, Janecki buzzing around that goal. These guys are making full use of the rink out there. Big shot coming in from Gudas. That was high off the plexi. Kuchera, Dolazal tipped all the way back. Gudas on this side calling for it. A chance for the Czechs going in on the backhand side, right in front. The backhander from Horova was left out front of the goal.
Kuchera tied up in front of the net, creating a pick. Horova seemed to have about a day and a half to leave the blue line and come in on Delfino. He took one step, then took one move, made another move. Nobody still wanted to go after him, so elected to keep going. In the end, looked like a real defenseman, though, as he got toward the front of Delfino, ran out of ideas and ran out of things to do.
It's always interesting to look at a defenseman's face when he gets in beyond the blue line. It's kind of unknown territory for most of them, and they just don't have the moves that forwards have up there because they're not there all the time. Marchetti sits for a couple of minutes. A chance now. The break is on. Chitteroni goes in. Briza goes down. Brilliant save.
Bad luck for Chitteroni. He was going about 140 miles an hour toward Briza. By the time he looked up, he was right on top of Petr Briza. What a burst of speed from him, though. We haven't seen nose wheels yet in these games.
Boy, he just jumped off the shot of a gun.
Breakaway from the center red line in. Has the puck on the forehand. Everybody waiting to see what he'll do. He makes his move to the backhand. Briza, with a brilliant play, elected to make the decision, stuck with it, went out after him, and came up with the puck.
Kadlec behind his own goal with Russell. Russell takes it up on the left side. Here comes Petr Russell. Over the blue, hits the red, round one man. Russell drops it back. Hostak out there. Hostak at the edge of the circle. That comes back to Holland. Holland with Kadlec on this side. A loose puck. The Italians will pick it up. Can't get it out of the zone. Now they do. That trickled away from Kadlec. Uncharacteristic mistake from him. Hostak fed it over. Hostak is in the middle. Shot comes in. Russell got a piece of it. Russell, the second attempt right there is Hostak. Another one. And Hostak moves in 22, 12, and 10. The three of them buzzing around that goal. This is the big line. And Hostak comes up with a good.
This is the line that we said provides a lot of excitement, but haven't been putting the goals away. They've come to life against the Italians. Russell with a couple of shots. It ends up with Kastak. Kastak lays it back nicely for Hostak. Hostak with Delfino down, puts it by him. 3-0 for the Czech Republic.
.450 gone on the second period. 3-0 the score now, with the Czechs increasing their lead. Coming up on the left side, Horak squeezed out of the play nicely. That's tipped along the boards, and the Italians bring it out only as far as the red line. Orlando trying to get a stick on that. Orlando throws it out into center, and Horak gets it for the Czechs. Up onto the right side, Calhoun being shadowed by number 17, Orlando. Let's correct that, Topatig. Topatig throws it away. All the way back to the blue line, and the Czechs peppering that goal once again. Herbeck couldn't get on it. Horak along the boards. Horak pushing and shoving, poking, trying to get that free, and he does. Pavlu now for the Italians. Pavlu throws it up. The return pass right on the blue line. Topatig picked it up, but the offside whistle blows.
Down by 3, the Italians need to keep skating. One breakaway opportunity in the period isn't going to be enough. They're going to have to keep trying to get behind the Czech defense.
These Czechs really wear you down, though, because they use the full ice surface. They throw the puck around. They let the puck do the work, and you find at times you're chasing these guys. After a shift, you haven't touched the puck, and you've just been chasing back and forth. Vecchiarelli with a lot of chopping on the wing. Gudas puts it over to the far side. The winner of this game will go against the Swedes. Tupau, heavy check in the corner. Tupau comes off best in that, with Vanni falling to the ice.
Wide open first period, starting to settle down into a close checking game. There's no love lost between these teams. There's a lot of hacking and whacking going on off the puck. Every time the teams line up for a face-off, the wingers seem to have a little chop at each other. Slight altercation right at the end of the first period, and it's continuing on into the second 20 minutes of play here, with both teams having a go.
Marchetti down on the left side got as far as the blue line. Baranek let that one go, and the Czechs elect to dump that in from the blue line. Tupal touches it, and the offside whistle blows. Certainly not a classic encounter. .36-year-old Bill Stewart looking fresh as ever. Tapped all the way back to Kadlec. Kadlec circles back. Kuchera goes with him. Janecki throws it over to the far side. And the Czechs now just playing with the Italians, taking their time. They're not getting pressed at all. No pressure on them to get out of their zone or to keep them in the zone. Shot coming in there from Kuchera. Stewart, long pass up to the blue line. That'll go over the far line. Breeze comes out and tips that forward. The Czechs working slowly out of their own zone with Holland. Holland tips it over to the near side. Pass up to Kuchera. Kuchera is dumped on the red line, and the puck comes back to Oberau. Oberau for the Italians flips it high amongst the lights. That bounces down. Certainly looked like an offside to me. Vanni comes up heavy on Holland. Boy, was that a hit.
Vanni and Vecchiarelli throwing their weight around on the shift. A lot of Czechs being flattened in the course of the past minute or so. I'll bet you Holland will wish he hadn't stuck his hand out and collected that puck. Vanni flattening him.
Holland sits for 2 for the Czech Republic. He had his mind on other things, wasn't really concentrating on Vanni. Face off at the top of the circle inside the Czech zone. Hostak trying to get it back. That trickles all the way over the red line. Kadlec goes after his man. Topatig is in there. The return pass from Pavlu. Hostak watching him. They're Czechs setting it up. Serban goes in there, comes all the way back to the blue, and the Italians throwing the puck around but not getting any shots on goal. That's all the way down the ice. 7:47 gone on the second period. The Italians with the man advantage. Coming up to the blue line, that's flipped all the way in. Serban goes after it. Serban and Stabiana out on the D for the Czechs. From the side of the net, Orlando couldn't control that bouncing puck. That's cleared as far as the blue line. Now Russell has it. Russell being shadowed by Pavlu, who eventually goes for a change. And it's shot down, and we have another whistle on the play.
One of the exciting things about the Czech team is that they never sit back when they're penalty killing. They'll always have guys out on the ice like Russell or Kastak that'll try to catch the other team sitting on their heels and go for the breakaways. They get a lot of shorthanded opportunities.
Beck saw that one squared away. Iovio got it. Iovio gets it back again. 53 seconds on the delay of game penalty to number 4 Holland. And the Czechs doing a great job of killing this one off. The Italians unable to get a shot on goal yet. They really don't look too good on the power play.
They need a confidence booster. A goal could do it.
Vecchiarelli, rink-wide pass going to the far side to Chitteroni. Chitteroni seems to be one of the guys out there who's skating hard from the side of the net. Herbeck picks it up. Herbeck goes for a little skate, took a deflection off a stick, went upstairs, and we'll have another face-off.
Herbeck, fresh off the bench, going for the shot. The Czechs will not sit back and kill the penalty. They'll keep pressuring the Italians. The Italians need to set it up, and they need a goal. They need it quickly. Something to get them going. They don't look that motivated.
Long pass out, and the Italians now. Chitteroni with that weird and wonderful camera upstairs. If you can see it, there's going to be a penalty on the plate. Still not out of the zone. Now the whistle blows with Kapusta falling down to his knees. 3-0 the score here. The Czechs totally in command. 4 seconds on the penalty to Holland. Thomas Kapusta steps in the box to join Holland. Let's take a look at this.
Kapusta putting the hook on 24. Chitteroni, as he was going for the puck behind Breeze's goal, will sit in the box. In 4 seconds, Holland will return.
Holland comes back onto the ice now, so it's still a 5-on-4 situation out there. Holland immediately goes for the change. The Italians hit the blue line. Varanek takes a swipe. And the Italians setting it up now in the Czech zone. Tapatig tapped it in. That goes in behind the goal. And the Italians with Orlando out front. Orlando wanted the puck. He's got it now. He skates through the circle and loses control. Orlando directing traffic, saying, hey, we're under pressure here. Going back is DeAngelis. Kadlec is right out front. Janecki fed the pass through. And that could have been a shorthanded goal. Holland, who's back on the ice, fires that all the way around down to Delfino, and the Italians will start it up yet again. No real sense of urgency from the Italians out there.
They're down by 3. I don't figure why they're just doing this. They've got to get going. You stand in the press box and you want to urge them on. Make something happen. Let's go. Get some excitement out there.
DeAngelis puts it into the corner. 45 seconds on the penalty clock. Iovio put it in. Iovio picks it up. Iovio going up against Holland. No contest there. Iovio eventually kicks it behind the goal, and that shoots out past everyone. DeAngelis was waiting back there, and it didn't happen. DeAngelis gets back for the Italians. Takes it up on the right side. Again, he shoots it in, but again, we don't see any Italians going in after the puck. The Czechs have all day to shoot it out. 15 seconds on the penalty.
when you dump the puck in, you've got to do it when guys are on the move. In that situation, the Italians had 4 guys standing flat-footed on the blue line.
Long pass across the rink, and again the Czechs dump it down. They're back at full strength, and the race is on. But Delfino comes well out of his net to break it up. Russell was headed for goal. Good camera work here in the Olympic Hall. 1 of 14 picking up the action right in the corners. 11:15 of the second period. 3-0 the score. Kostak, Kadlec, and Hostak getting the goals for the Czechs. The Italians unable to get things going out there. They've had some power play opportunities, unable to capitalize. Hostak in the face-off circle. Got that away from Zanata. Zanata chases as it goes all the way down into Czech territory. Bounced off the boards. And the Czechs go back in numbers. Zanata forechecking. Short pass up to Kostak. Kostak throwing it up to Hostak. Hostak happy just to flip it in on the backhand side along the boards. Oberau for the Italians. Oberau, the big defenseman, flips it up into the middle to Zanata. Back to Oberau. Oberau has number 22, Vanni out front. Oh, BRŽIZA had to get out of the way in a hurry.
That could have been serious. Oberau with a good head of steam cutting in toward the goal. Just about bit the goal post off. Bob Oberau moving up from his defensive spot. A good rush by him. BRŽIZA just trying to get out of his way. Watch out. Once again, a situation where players happy that the nets do come off the moorings quite easily now. A few years ago, that wouldn't have given very much, and they would have been stretchering Oberau off the ice.
Loose puck right at the post. BRŽIZA reaches back for it. Oh, that was so close. And the Italians picking up their game just a little as they provide 1 or 2 heart-stopping moments for BRŽIZA. Shot well wide of the target. And the Italians are going to have to learn to hit the net. Delfino clears that to the near side. DeAngelis backhands it up to the hash marks, and the Italians start things up. A bouncing puck through neutral ice. Chitteroni on this side couldn't get it. Coming up now is Kuppila. Kuppila taken off the plate. Kalun feeds it up. Herbeck is breaking on this side, looking for the pass. It didn't come his way. Horak hung on to that perhaps a little too long, and Chitteroni feeds that up into neutral ice territory. The Czechs break it down. 12:40 gone on the period. And the whistle blows yet again. 3-0 still the score. And this game, I think it's fair to say, has not yet caught fire.
The Czechs just showing their class. They're in control of the game, but you do get the feeling that if the Italians could score 1, they could make something of this. They certainly have the ability, and from time to time you do see a glimmer of light there when they put something together. BRŽIZA has had to make a few big stops.
Zanata from the faceoff got it back. Quick shot there by Mansi. Loose puck in neutral ice territory. 3-4 Czechs now at the blue line. Coming in nice is Holland. Holland likes to travel with that puck. Baranek spun around 360 and took the shot. Kapusta couldn't keep it in on the far boards. Holland going up against Iovio. Iovio ran out of room, ran out of places to go. Baranek taken out by Zanata. Baranek goes up against the boards. Zanata goes after him for the second time. And Mansi is there, and it's taken away from him. The Czechs with a lot of time to come out of the zone now. Coming up is Tupal. Tupal throws it in, and Stewart goes after it. From a sharp angle, Tupal was right there. And that bounces down the ice. Chasing is Kadlec. Long pass through to Kuchera. Kuchera over the blue. Hits the red. Here comes Kuchera. Kuchera drops it back. Dolezal. Kuchera couldn't see it. And Kuchera was working right in there nicely with Dolezal. Di Fiore took his man out along the boards. And again, the Italians just clear it down the ice.
Italians wanting to change the defense. The forwards had managed to change on the fly. The defense caught out there a bit long. Do the noble thing and take the face off.
A lot of Italian support here, and quite a few Czechs have come out to support their team. Earlier on today, we saw the Canadians easily beat the Finns, so the Canadians go into the next round. Big shot. Kuchera goes in for the rebound. They'll take on the Russians, and the winner of this game will take on the Swedes in the semifinal. Chitteroni. Chitteroni looking to get it through to Vecchiarelli, who was astride offside.
Close call. 3 Italians actually coming up the ice together. Something they haven't done a real lot of, a 3-on-3. Better odds than they've had in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the period. One player working very hard, like Iovio, for an example, on the last shift, running out of room and running out of help, being in the corner with 2 or 3 Czechs.
Comes back to Serban. Serban throws it over to the far side, and the Czechs now working through the red line. Coming up over the blue line, Dolezal comes up, long shot, penalty coming up on the play. The Italians touch it, it's going against them.
Good stick handling from Kuchera. Kuchera, another really good playmaker, underrated guy who doesn't get a lot of the attention. Always has his head up.
A lot of these Czech players spend their time during the hockey season in just about every other country but the Czech Republic. Got players playing in Germany, in Sweden, Finland, and of course in the NHL. Kuchera with Vecchiarelli in the penalty box for 2 minutes for sloshing. Kuchera gets set. Orlando was kicked out of the face-off circle. Kuchera trying to get it back to Kadlec. Kadlec eventually picks it up but has to take it out of the zone. Kadlec to the far side. All the way back, and this game has developed into a snail's pace out there. Janecki. Janecki goes around Orlando, comes up against Bill Stewart. And now the Czechs throw the puck around with Holland getting it, feeding it through. And the Italians have an opportunity now. Topatig is on the wing. And Orlando takes it for a big skate with less than 5 minutes on the period. Orlando throws it up on the wing. Topatig. Topatig trying to split the Czechs out there, and he does. Some good stuff from the Italian as he kills off this penalty. Orlando chases his man down, and the Czechs get fresh legs out there and start to work it up. Kadlec throws it out in the center. Hostak. Still with Hostak. He's taken out of the play just inside the blue line. Good stuff from the Italians.
Oberau stepping up at the blue line, doing just what he had to do, poking the puck away, and the Italians able to clear.
Russell breaks down on the left side. Russell has Kostak in the middle. Hostak trailing on the far side. Pass over to Horova, back to Russell. He pumps it back to the blue. Horova tees it up, takes the big shot. That took a deflection. Back to Horova. Horova looking for places to go, decides to go back to 12. Kostak back to Horova. And the Czechs now getting it together in the Italian zone. That pass wasn't a great one from Horova, but Kostak did the damage on the slash. Right out front, Hostak is there. Power play goal yet again. That's 3 in a row.
Once again, it's the brilliance of number 12, Kamil Kostak, the playmaker on the line Russell, the speedy guy, Hostak, the big guy who can stay in the slot, and Kastak, the man who can really move the puck around. He shifts this one over nicely to Hostak. Upstairs for goal number 4. Great pass, almost the same as he fed to Hostak earlier in the period. Hostak has 2 goals.
The Italians back at full strength as Vanni tried to get a skate on that. 3.5 minutes now on the period. The Italians desperately need something here. They trail by 4. They're going to be feeling really dejected as they go into the dressing room. Trailing by 4, or could it be 5? Comes up onto the open wing. Calhoun overskated that. Chitteroni fed it back in. Chitteroni, a big slash on Herbeck. Chitteroni stays with Herbeck. Now he's got the hook on him. Herbeck throws it back to the blue line, and the Czechs will come out and clear the zone. Serban. Horak. Herbeck. And the Czechs having a good time throwing the puck around. Long shot coming in. That took a deflection. And the Italians now with Oberau. Oberau hits the blue line. And 1 or 2 players offside. My lord, what were they thinking? Vanni was well and truly over the line on the left wing.
The Italians, I feel, can still go harder. I know they just squeaked into the final 8. They beat the Swiss earlier in the games 1-0. Barely made it into the final 4 of Group A with a 1-1 draw against the Austrians. A lot of people feeling the Swiss were a stronger team. The Italians made it here, but they're showing that they're just not up for the challenge with the might of the Czech Republic.
I didn't see the game against Russia, but I still can't believe that was a 2-2 draw. Marchetti along the boards, tapped out by the Czechs, and Tupal nicely tips it forward. Baranek to Tupal. Tupal looking for Baranek. He has him in the corner. Stewart puts the bear hug on, a rink-wide pass. The Czechs peppering that goal once again, but Delfino comes up with the save. Zanata having words with Baranek. Baranek, who has just come back from the NHL, has seen it all before, I'm afraid. From the face-off, Baranek gets it to the side of the circle, and that's tipped in. Tupal goes in heavily, and the Italians pick it up. The pass up on the wing to Mansi. Mansi bounces it off the boards, not an intelligent clearance from him. The Czechs almost got away with it. Kapusta working out there with Baranek from the side of the net. Tupal took a hit from behind. Kapusta now picks it up, being shadowed by Zanata. All the way back to the blue. A long shot. Turnaround. Delfino. Good save on Tupal. And it's a good thing that Delfino was there. The Italians being smothered in the dying minutes of this second period. Boy, they're hurting out there.
The Czechs are a brilliant team for the young kids to watch. You don't have to play with a puck or deke or fake or put a lot of extra moves on. If it's on your stick, let it go. They get the shots away so quickly. That was a pure reflex by Delfino just to get the leg out on the puck. Great shot from Tupal.
From the face-off in the Italian zone, Orlando wants Topatig to go over onto the right side. Orlando tips it back. Topatig was not there, but the Italians picked it up anyway. Circelli along the boards, gunning for Pavlu. That didn't happen. And Orlando gets deep. Orlando brings it through the circle, over the red, over the blue now with the puck. Throws it in the corner, and Pavlu can't get a handle on it. Orlando was there. This guy's all over the ice. A chance now for Kuchera. Kuchera slams on the brakes. A good move from him. Gives it to Gudas. Big shot. Big save by Delfino.
The defense still getting involved for the Czech Republic. Every time the forwards come down the ice, if they don't have a clear break or an opportunity to cut in on the defense, they'll swing a little loop or they'll slam the brakes on and lay it back for the D. We've seen a lot of shots coming from Kadlec instead of Jana. This time Leo Guda is getting a piece of it.
Oberau got that from the face-off. Flipped it up onto Chitteroni's stick. Chitteroni, a good hip check on him. Coming in now is Kuppala. Kuppala puts it out front. The loose puck is picked up by the Czechs. Less than a minute on the period. Coming down is Janecki. Janecki works into the slot area, throws it over to the far side. And that one is batted down. It bobbles out over the zone. Janecki has to get back to help out. The shadow comes from the Italians, and they leave Janecki free on this side. Good shot, good save.
The Italian defense starting to back in. I'm sure Delfino will have a word telling him to just take the chance at the blue line. If they get around you, they get around you, but make them do something. The Czechs have so much time in the high slot area, and after they come over the blue line, they're really being given the opportunity to slow the play down and set it up. It looks like they're on a power play most of the time.
From the face-off, Srbag. Srbag goes in quickly, tries to feed it through to Baranek. That didn't happen, and we've got now 20 seconds on the period. A long shot. Briza handles that nicely, drops it down. 15 seconds on the period. The Czechs putting it in front of their own goal. Briza won't like that. Hostak in the center to Rosso. Over to Kastak. Hostak breaks in front. The pass comes, but he's got white and blue shirts all over him. 2 seconds. There goes the buzzer to end the second period. Another 2-goal period for the Czechs. They lead this one 4-0.
They've taken command of the game and don't appear to be in any kind of trouble. The intermission to come. 20 minutes of hockey to go.
So 4-0 the score with Kastak, Kadlec, Hostak, and Hostak. 3 power play goals. That tells you something, or at least it should tell the Italians something.
Says a lot. Shots on goal, 28-12 in favor of the Czechs. Delfino certainly a lot more tired than Petr Briza is at this moment.
Petr Briza really hasn't been tested with good quality shots, but he has been sharp when he's had to be. 1 or 2 close-in opportunities for the Italians, and he's come up big. But it really does look like the Czechs are going to walk away with this one. After 40 minutes of hockey, it's 4-0, and I have a feeling there's going to be a few more to come. The Italians are looking tired, and they really aren't playing good hockey. They have their moments, but they're giving the puck away a lot in the neutral zone. They're not taking the body when they should. And for the Czechs, it's just another day at the office.
The Canadians and the Finns, the Germans against the Russians, the U.S. against the Swedes, those 3 games were tight for 2 periods. Anybody could have won. It was the 3rd period that was the decider. This game, though, has been the different story. The Czechs have had control and have dominated right from the opening face-off.
Still waiting for the teams to come out on the ice. Kastak, Kadlec scored in the first period. Kadlec's goal was a power play goal. And the next 2 by Hostek in the second period were also power play goals. So the penalties, although there weren't a lot of them, they have cost the Italians dearly. Delfino has been peppered from all angles. He's come up big on several occasions. But really, it's just a one-way... Well, it's one-way traffic. That's what I was trying to say. It's one-way traffic, and the Italians are under pressure from beginning to end. They're being outskated, outshot, outplayed, outhit. Every once in a while, the Italians come up with something a little special, but it's not enough to take them into the semifinal.
1 period to play. The Czechs should be comfortable, but they know very well. Coach Alinka will be telling them as they're coming out onto the ice, let's stay sharp. It's going to get tougher and tougher. They've actually had the easiest draw, with no disrespect to the Italians, in the quarterfinals. From the Italian standpoint, they probably got just the 20 minutes of hockey to play. Why not go all out? Throw the body around, get as many shots on the goal as they can get, and see if they can break the shutout, first of all, and then see if they can put more than that behind Briza. Why not?
Why not exactly? The Finns went after it today when they were being beaten by the Canadians. They had the man advantage through penalty, and they took their goaltender off with a lot of time remaining. It cost them a goal, but hey, they're going for it at least. They're trying to put some points on the scoreboard. There's no point in playing defensive hockey. 1 or 2 of my colleagues get so annoyed when they see defensive hockey. They want to see wide open hockey, and they want to see teams going forward. 1-4 situations where you got one guy up and 4 back, jamming everybody along the boards, blocking off of the blue line, stacking the blue line does not make for interesting hockey. Let's go and put some pucks in the net if we can.
The Finns do tend to play a very boring style of hockey, I'm sorry to say.
I didn't mention the Finns.
But they do what they do very successfully. They were in tight games all the way through the tournament. They played very tough against the Canadians. The Canadians took a while to break the ice. There was a quick goal by Recchi, but after that it was very tight until the third period when the Canadians really pulled it away.
The third period appears to be the deciding period. 1 or 2 teams are capable of staying with teams, such as the Canadians, the Swedes, and the Czechs for 40 minutes, if they're lucky. But the third period, the legs get moving and the class begins to tell. "20 minutes to go. The Czechs playing from right to left. Holland throws it over. Kuchera breaks down the middle, and Dolezal down the left wing. On the far side, the Czechs setting it up nicely, but can't get the puck. Cercelli got it out, and that's flipped over. All the way back for Kadlec. Kadlec decides to go the other way. Dolezal flips it high off the Pexi. It bounces down. And some forechecking there from Pavlu. The Czechs know that all they have to do is skate with the Italians for 20 minutes, and this game will be theirs. Orlando throws it up to the red line. Orlando breaks in now, looking for the pass in center of the ice. Orlando is right there. That bounces in behind the goal. Tupou picks it up, and here come the Czechs. Head manning the puck was Tupou. Back on the attack. Janecki. Janecki taken heavily into the boards, and the Italians coming back in numbers. Orlando drops it back, a chance to shoot. A giveaway pass right in the Czech zone. Kuchera feeds it up. Russell has a breakaway. Russell, well, this time he does it. I was holding my breath. How many times have we seen this guy whoop it on a breakaway? Russell is there. He's got a big smile. Delfino is not happy.
Russell wouldn't be happy with you, Paul. Say it right. He scores. Goal for Russell. It's been
Russell scores.
It's been a long time coming on the breakaways. Russell lets Delfino go down and just very sneakily puts it through his legs. Lets him move. Delfino goes across. The puck is slipped under his legs. The Czechs have another goal. The Italians caught going forward with 5 men, and why not? They need goals. They've got to take those chances. It isn't going to matter whether they lose by 10 goals or not. They've got to try and put something at Briza.
Russell finally gets a goal. We've seen him go forward on breakaways and penalties. On a penalty shootout, he went the distance and couldn't score. And we thought perhaps maybe he couldn't buy a goal in this competition. 1:23 gone in the third period, flipped over by Chitteroni, and Russell bats it down. 5-0 the score. The Czechs totally in control. Horva up to Gudas. Gudas lets his man go by him. Gudas throws it out to Horva. Horva taps it up. The Czechs playing some good hockey out there, throwing the puck around. That took a deflection. Picked up on this side. And the Italians now come back into play. Beccarelli moving along the right side with Chitteroni. And now it's twisted the other way. Back to Russell, who's out there for a long shift. Hostak has Kastak on the far side. Oberau flips it up off the boards, and here come the Italians. Vecchiarelli trailing Chitteroni. Vecchiarelli now picks it up, throws a rink-wide pass, and number 22, Vanni, couldn't pick it up. The Italians really have to shoot more. They're trying to be a little too clever out there when they have the opportunities taken. And that's the end of the lesson for the Italians.
The Italians are hitting, but they seem to hit Leo Gudas harder than anybody else. They don't like that guy at all.
He's got that kind of face, hasn't he? Gudas is one of the toughest little players in the tournament. Janecki going down against Bill Stewart. Janecki steals that. Stewart comes across in front of the net. Fed right back to Herbeck. Herbeck can't get it. Zanata gets it up. Serban intercepts, and that's tipped right back in. Stewart bangs it off the boards, and the Czechs unable to take it off Iovio. A giveaway there. Staviana got his stick in the way. Horak feeds it through the middle, and one or two passes for both teams being knocked away. The pass through, a chance for Iovio. Iovio took the shot. Left-handed shot on the right wing, ended up off the pads, and Vanni shoots it up. Horak. Zanata for the Italians. A good pass over to the far side. Horak goes after his man and decides to let him go. The Italians now hit the blue line, take it into the corner, and everyone's setting up in front of the net. Kadlec reaching out. Kadlec trying to bring his man down. Tupal is there to help out as that comes in. Capusta goes in hard. Capusta, Kadlec, and the Italians, Chitteroni. Chitteroni tapping it in. The backhander, the forehander. Coppola got a piece of that as he spun around. It looked like for a moment that he was going to take the backhander shot on Briza. Eventually spun 360, and Baranek now dispossessed. Tupal runs out of places to go. Coppola feeds it back on the D.
Delayed offside. The puck will come back outside of the Italian end of the ice. The goal judge well protected. Got 2 sheets of plexi in front of him. Looks like he's been caged up.
Protected from both the puck and the fans. Getting set for the face-off now. 5-0 the score in neutralized territory. Kuchera against Orlando. Kuchera wins that, gets it back to Horova. Horova looking to get away from Topatig and Orlando. He does, throws it in. Oberau rattles that off the woodwork. Dolezal gets it back. Weak shot, takes it in behind the goal. Kuchera is there. He can't get a stick on it. And it comes back to Horova. Fed into number 5, Di Fiori. Kuchera trying to get a handle on it. And Orlando tried to get it over to the far side. Horova. Long pass out to Kuchera. Kuchera tips it to Janecki. Janecki to Dolezal. The shot took a deflection. That went high. Janecki goes in hard on Di Fiori. Back to the blue. Horova feeds it in. And that's tipped to the side with Topatig picking it up.
Penalty on the play. Cross-checking. It'll go against the Italians. I hate to keep harping on it, but back in the Czech zone, Horova was breaking out with a puck. Gudaz was standing in front of net, minding his own business, and he took another chop from the Italians. I would really like to know, down at rinkside, what he's done to upset the Italian team.
He doesn't have to do much. He just has to put on that familiar number 3 and step on the ice wearing a Czech uniform. Robert Oberau will sit or stand, whichever he wants to do, for the next 2 minutes. 5-0 the score. The problems continue to mount for Oberau. Cross-checking is the call. Russell went in on that, couldn't get it. Mansi along the boards, unable to get it out. Flipped all the way back to Serban. Serban fed it through. Hostak is there, but so is Bill Stewart. Stewart circles back, gets away from Hostak, and clears it lazily around to number 12, Mansi. Mansi, a long clearance, and that comes quickly back to the red line.
The Hostak-Russell line getting the nod for the Czechs, circling around the neutral zone nicely, and now bring it in to Italian territory.
This line is picked up for the 5 goals. Comes all the way back. Stabiana has a chance now. He walks along the blue line. Stabiana fakes the shot, feeds it into Russell, and Russell puts it upstairs. Delfino is there.
No problem for American-born Dave Delfino. Gets the catching glove up and holds on to the puck. Oberau looking bored in the penalty box. Like to be on the other side of the ice with all of his teammates.
He probably wishes he was in the bar right now. Trailing 5-0. The Italians well and truly out of this. Zanata goes up against Herbeck. Herbeck gets it back to Holland. Holland feeds it over to the far side. That bounces over Kadlec's stick. Kadlec eventually taps it in. The return pass to Kadlec, back to Holland. Holland taps it in gently. Janecki was there waiting for the pass. Horak on the far side. That somehow got over Kadlec's stick, and he feeds it back to Holland. 49 seconds on the penalty. Oberau still waiting in the box. Janecki, good move by Janecki. Another good move. Janecki now puts it over to the far side. Oh, the cheeky little Czech throwing the passes around and doing some great stick handling. Stationary hockey out there as the Czechs for a moment came to a complete halt. The Italians stayed right with them. Holland pops that into the hash marks. Janecki back to Kadlec. Good save by Delfino.
Italians clear the puck. Briza getting involved in the play, pushing it forward very quickly.
Herbeck calling for it. Janecki decides to go back to Holland, who puts it over to Kadlec. Kadlec fakes once, fakes twice. Janecki is there. The Italians are back at full strength. That's popped off the boards, but not out of the zone. Marchetti tips it around this way. Vecchiarelli takes a glove from Janecki and then returns the favor, going in on goal. Briza goes down. Oberau coming out of the penalty boxes there. Holland was all over him.
Good opportunity for Oberau. The big defenseman found himself looking like a fast skating forward momentarily. A pair of fours. Holland putting the hook on Oberau. The pair of them sliding toward Briza. Briza just wants the puck. Holland going to the penalty box, and the favor's been returned. The Italians will have the man advantage now.
Well, we've said so many times the Czechs are capable of striking whether they have a full complement of players or not, so it doesn't mean there's going to be a let-up just because they have a man in the box.
Their penalty kill percentage is 95%. They're rated second behind the Canadians.
Baranek and Gudas. Gudas goes in first, Baranek in second. The man caught in between was Tapatig. The Italians looking to get something going. They certainly need a score. They need it right now. They're running out of time. They trail by 5. Tapatig moves in there. Tapatig with Orlando. Along the boards, that eludes Cercelli. A chance for Baranek. Baranek goes for the short side. He had Horva on the far side, tried to stuff it in. Orlando now goes down the ice. Orlando picks up the puck, throws it out front. A chance for the Italians, moving right in on goal. Eventually they skate themselves right out of the rink, well, at least as far as the corner. And they give the Czechs a chance to get back into play. Going forward is number 25, Cercelli. The pass didn't get as far as him, and it shot down the ice.
Delfino stuffed the Czechs at one end, and then the Italians squandered a good opportunity of their own. They had about a 4-on-2.
Tapati gave that away to Kuchera. The return pass to Kuchera going in. A chance now for the Czechs as Dolezal took a slap shot. Just who has the penalty out there. 45 seconds on the penalty. Tapati going up against Stabiana. All the way back to the blue. Big shot coming in. Again deflected away by Kadlec. And the Czech defenseman is stopping a lot of shots out there before they get to Briza.
Kadlec and Gudas block a lot of shots on the Czech defense.
25 seconds as Ivovio drops it back. Kuchera goes after his man. Ivovio taken heavily into the boards. Ivovio trying to get away from Stabiana. Ivovio moves out in front. The puck goes all the way back to Stewart on the blue line. Tapatig with time to shoot, but elects to give it to Stewart, who took the shot. And the Czechs are back at full strength as Marlos Holland steps onto the ice. Kuchera goes after his man, Mansi. Holland, 3 Czechs over the red line. Kuchera running out of places to go. The loose puck is there, picked up by Mansi. Mansi throws it up on the left wing. Both teams changing on the fly. A chance for Vecchiarelli, but he's taken out of the play in the circle.
Russell playing defense. Stopped Vecchiarelli very nicely. We didn't know that Russell even knew Petr Briza, who Russell normally outside on the other side of the center red line.
I'm glad you're saying all this and I'm not. All the way back to Czech territory, midway point through the final period. And the Italians, trailing by 5, need a goal, and they need it within the next few seconds.
There's nothing wrong with saying that at all. Russell is a good offensive ice hockey player.
And you'll leave it at that. Hossack fed it through, intended to get the pass to Russell. It didn't work. Di Fiore got it up. Kupola in the corner. Kupola slams on the brakes and takes up his position out front. Now Kupola goes in the corner. And the Czechs go for the long pass. Russell let that go to Holland. Di Fiore backhands it off the boards. And the Italians looking to get something going through the neutral zone. Zanata, the backhander, is picked off by Herbeck. Long passes are the name of the game out there for the Czechs. Herbeck from the short side tries to get it back, and he does. Long shot comes in. Janecki. Oberau takes him into the boards. Another shot, and Delfino gloves it down at the side of the net.
The Czechs staying wide, opening up the ice again. You can see the white shirts running around and chasing. The Czechs just keeping control of the puck and moving it around nicely.
Another change of personnel for the Italians and the Czechs. They get set. Orlando loses out. That comes back to the blue line. Delfino got the stick in front of that. The rebound, and they pick it up and score. Delfino beaten by Janecki. That's number 6.
The Italians looking flat in their own end. Drive coming from the blue line. Puck goes off Delfino. He makes the initial save. Not a very good clearance from Turcelli. Janecki right on top of it. Shoots very quickly and has the 6th Czech goal.
Janecki looking pleased with himself, and why not? The Czechs are playing some good hockey out there. They're not under pressure. They're having a good time. Pavlu tapped that up. Briza hangs on to that with 11:37 gone in the third period. So it looks like the Czechs will go on to play the Swedes. The Russians are going up against the Canadians, and they will play for the medals, but we still have 4 teams playing to avoid relegation. We already know that Great Britain are coming up into Pool A. They will be playing off in September for a place in the Olympics to be held in Norway in 1994. Other teams there will be the Japanese, the Poles, the Latvians, and the last place finishers in this competition. 5 teams in all, including Great Britain. Tupal goes heavily along into the boards. Iovio trying to get it out front. That took a deflection, eventually ended up just inside the blue line, and the Italians now are starting to muscle a little. Taken out of the play is Mansi. Mansi continues the forecheck. Kadlec is in there. Tupal goes in to run in interference. Kadlec at the top of the circle. Taps it forward. Kapusta with Baranek. Kapusta on the backhand side. Baranek tried to get the pass. Zanata was there to pick it up. Over to the far side, Bill Stewart. Stewart's pass is anticipated, knocked down. Kapusta couldn't get the shot away. Tupal was cruising right in front of the goal. Stewart stays on Kapusta. A lot of hacking and grabbing from the Italians. They seem to be tiring out there. The Czechs look to be getting their second win. Tupal working right in front, the short side. And Delfino went down to make the save.
The Czechs really working on Bill Stewart. He's had a rough shift.
36-year-old Bill Stewart flips that over to the far side. He will go for a change if he can. Oberau put it through the gate.
That is not a goal. Oberau is a defenseman. Maybe he got confused, I'm not sure, but they will just Dropped the puck again in the neutral territory for a face-off.
Well, to be fair to Overall, the gate should have been closed, not open.
The Italians down by 6 goals, still seeing the funny side of that. The whole bench is having a good laugh at Overall's expense.
Time running out for the Italians, and Orlando being sent out of the face-off circle yet again. Holland on the near side. Some good passing from the Czechs. That wasn't one of them. Dolezal goes after his man. Di Fiore tips it over. Orlando wants the puck. That's too far for him. Kadlec tips it out of the zone. The long pass up on the left wing. And Dolezal picks it up. Takes the chop from Di Fiore. Di Fiore stays on him. Dolezal doesn't give up. Return pass over to Holland. The big mobile defenseman gets up in the corner. Tips it back to Kuchera. A whistle on the play. And the Swedish referee hasn't had a lot to do out there, has he?
He's had a very quiet time in this third period. Coach Alenka on the Czech bench, keeping the guys pumped up. He knows how important it is that these guys have a strong third period and don't let up against the Italians. They have a comfortable lead, but they need a good workout. Their next game is going to be a lot harder than this one.
The Swedes will be no pushovers. Gold medalists 2 years running. They are certainly getting their game together like they did last year. They're starting to gel, and they impressed me last time out against the Americans. The Canadians certainly impressed me. Today against the Finns, boy, do they look strong. Holland right back at the blue line. Holland taps it into Janecki. Another power play situation. Janecki gently back to Holland, back to Janecki. Not a lot of movement from either team, but they don't need to. These guys are playing patty cake out there. That went over the blue line, and the officials spotted that.
Offside. Face-off will come back into neutral territory. Friendly blows being exchanged after the whistle by a Czech and an Italian, something we've seen quite a bit of in this game. A lot of rough stuff away from the play.
Change of personnel for both teams. Russell steps out there along with number 22 Hostak and 12 Kastak. Vecchiarelli on the wing to kill this one off. Going back for it is Gudas. Vecchiarelli stays on him. Good steal from Vecchiarelli. Tries to get it in, he does! Whoa, short-handed goal. Tenacious forechecking from Big John Vecchiarelli.
Attaboy, John. Nice goal. The first one for Italy.
WC1993 will not be happy with that. Some slack defensive stuff from number 8, Milas Horova.
Horova and Gudas cruising. Not really concentrating on John Vecchiarelli. Vecchiarelli staying with the puck nicely. WC1993 trying to poke check him as well. In his attempt to put the stick on the puck, pulls his leg far enough off the goalpost for the puck to squeeze in there.
6-1 now the score. The Italians finally getting on the scoreboard. Horak went in, and that didn't come his way. 14:31 gone in the period, and the Czechs come right back on the power play. Long shot again deflected away, and the Czechs just sizing it up out there, taking shots from all angles. Topatig got a wrist shot. That took a deflection high, and we'll have another face-off. I don't imagine that Ivan Halinka will be happy with a short-handed goal being scored on his team. I don't imagine WC1993 will want to lose his shutout that way.
Not at all. The way the Czechs have guys like Naslund, Nylander, and Forsberg coming at them in their next game, they're going to be going after goals, whether they're short-handed or at full strength. The Czechs are going to have to tighten up around the back of the goal.
Shot all the way down the ice. Icing is the call. 6-1 is the score. The Czechs still in a commanding lead, and they're definitely going to go through unless something magical happens for the Italians here. They still have a man in the box for 44 seconds. I was about to say the Czechs are still going to go through, and they're going to take on the Swedes. Face off to the left of BRŽIZA as he looks down the ice. Another change of centers for the Italians. Srbin against Tapatig. Srbin headmans the puck, and here comes Verbeek. Verbeek being shadowed there and followed by Holland. A long, high flick gets it out of the zone. Staviana. Janecki on the far side, Horak on this side. Janecki gets the pass. Tapatig is on him. Oberau is on him. The return pass comes in. The bounce, that's in the net. Oh, some good stuff from the Czechs as they follow through. Verbeek came cruising in and took a swipe at that. Janecki was instrumental in setting this up on the right wing.
Two Italians chasing Janecki. The other defenseman for Italy backing in on the goal and just diving across. That's Bill Stewart, not really in the play. Verbeek has two cracks at it before he puts it home. The first shot and a save from Delfino. The second one, Delfino isn't going to have much to do with. Verbeek has a goal.
Kapusta drops it back. Delfino, a good save. Baranek got a piece of it, but so did the Italian goaltender. That's tipped away. Di Fiore with less than, or as we approach, it'll be 4 minutes remaining on the clock. In 10 seconds time, 7-1 is the score. Tupou trying to push that forward. Baranek can't get a handle on it. Iovio spins around, and that's fed away from number 12, Mansi. A bouncing puck is batted down by Kapusta, but the Italians shoot it into Czech territory.
Italians with Iovio still going forward all the time. This guy's worked hard.
Italian player brought down in the Czech zone, and that play is whistled down by the Swedish referee. Mixture of support here. A lot of players have friends and family along, and it's just as well. Here comes the penalty. The crowds were great when the Germans were playing. Kapusta sits for 2 for hooking, and they've been fairly good when other teams have performed here. I'm sure when we get to the semifinals and the finals, we'll have a full house. They sold, out of the 380,000 tickets, they sold 100,000 in advance. Iovio on the wing goes up against Holland. Iovio was pushed off the puck, and the Czechs just shoot it down the ice.
You mentioned Great Britain coming up to Pool A. It certainly shows how things are changing in ice hockey. A lot of new countries on the rise. The Poles, already a forgotten team, relegated last year, find themselves beaten by the Germans, beaten by the British, that is, in this year's Pool B competition. The British on their way up. Action continues in the Pool A competition on the relegation side. The Austrians are going to have a tough game against the Norwegians. The Swiss are going to have the French. One of those teams are going to go down, so you still got to keep a close eye on that side of the tournament.
Even if the Norwegians are relegated, they'll still be allowed to play in the Olympics for obvious reasons. Action all around Delfino. He came up with a couple of good saves from close in. No let up in the pressure from Baranek and co. from the Czechs. Big shot rattles off the plexi out there, and that comes down the near side, tipped away. Kuchera just skates away from the play as Orlando picks it up. The Italians well and truly out of this one. They trail 7-1, and they're just trying to make it a little more respectable. Orlando batted that through into the corner. 54 seconds on the penalty. Topatig is in there. Topatig waiting for things to bounce his way. And the Italians send in 3 men. Back to the point to De Angelis, back to Topatig. Topatig skates into the circle. Topatig again. No motion from the Italians. A give and go there. That doesn't work. The Czechs saw that coming all the way. Gudas got it out of the zone.
The Italians not moving. They're just standing still, trying to pass to players who are covered, or at least the zone that the Czechs have set up on the defense, not allowing any passes to go through.
Action continues on Eurosport throughout the week, so stay with us. Tomorrow we'll have the fight to avoid relegation. And then on Friday, the semifinals. And throughout the weekend, we'll play for relegation and for medals. So lots of hockey live on Eurosport still to come. Russell goes out. 22 seconds on the power play for the Italians. And we have 2 minutes left on the game. 7-1 the score. And the Italians just throw it around in their own zone, having difficulty getting out of their own zone, even though they have the man advantage. It really is just a case of the Czechs being too powerful, too many good players. Czechs are back to full strength. Serban goes up against Chitteroni. Serban taps it up, and a chance now for the Czechs. Big shot coming in from Russell. Hostak goes after his man. That bobbles down nicely in neutral ice territory, but again, Russell picks it up. Russell wants to get another goal. He's got the flavor for it out there. He wants to see his name in lights. That doesn't happen. Right at the red line, the Czechs throw it back onto the D. Fans starting to count things down, starting to celebrate. The Czech fans, that is. Kastak from a sharp angle, dropping it back. Herbeck! Second goal in a row for number 18.
Russell and Kastak instrumental in setting the play up again. Hostak going for a line change, maybe wishing he hadn't now. Rebek jumps on the ice and collects a goal for himself. Kastak so smooth, waited as he was going around behind the net. Threw the puck back. Rebek steps in. Has very little room to put it, but finds a place behind Delfino.
Rebek's second goal. As that comes back to Bill Stewart, the clock is ticking down. It's just as well for the Italians. This is becoming humiliating, 8-1. And this is a quarterfinal game. Really, they should be better prepared. They should be a better team. Maybe the system for setting up the quarterfinals and the semifinals is not quite foolproof. Breaking through is Iovio. Zanata on the backhander. That goes off his skate. Zanata clears it over to the far side. Iovio goes after it. He's not going to get it. Long pass out into the neutral zone. And a chance one more time for the Czechs with just 10 seconds on the clock. Rebek passes it all the way back to the blue. 5 seconds now. This is all over but the shouting for the Czechs. There goes the buzzer. Kastak got the first goal. Kadlec made it 2-0 after 20 minutes. Hostak got 2 in the second period. 4-0 after 40 minutes. And then, as we've said so many times before, the wheels fell off the wagon. Russell, Janecki, and 2 from Herbeck made it 8 for the Czechs. Vecchiarelli 1 for the Italians.
4 power play goals for the Czech Republic. The Czechs out shooting the Italians 45-17.
Well, Bully seems to have enjoyed that. How about a man of the match?